For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. The Israeli military says that Palestinian militants carried out the deadliest single attack on Israel's forces since the Hamas raid that triggered the war. 21 soldiers were killed. It was a significant setback that could add to mounting calls for a ceasefire. Hours later today, the military announced that ground forces had encircled the southern city of Khan Yunis. That marked a major advance, but it was unclear how much closer it would bring Israel to defeating Hamas or freeing Israeli hostages as ceasefire talks appear to be gathering pace. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu mourned the soldiers, but he vowed to press ahead until, quote, absolute victory, even as Israelis are increasingly divided over whether it's possible to both crush Hamas and free scores of remaining captives. For the first time since Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin established the international group to support Ukraine in April of 2022, the United States will host the monthly gathering of about 50 countries out of money, unable to send the ammunition and missiles that Ukraine needs to fend off Russia's invasion. In Brussels today, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg announced a new $1.2 billion joint contract to buy more than 222,000 rounds of 155mm ammunition. The rounds are some of the most heavily used munitions in this conflict, and the contract will be used to backfill allies that have pushed their own reserves to Kyiv. While waiting for Congress to pass a budget and potentially approve more money for Ukraine's fight, the U.S. will be looking to allies to keep bridging the gap. Meanwhile, Russian missiles targeted 3 Ukrainian cities, including its 2 biggest, damaging apartment buildings and killing at least 6 people. The attack came hours after Moscow shunned any deal backed by Kyiv and its Western allies aimed at ending the nearly 2-year-old war. Officials said today's barrage injured at least 20 people in 4 districts of Kyiv, the capital. In Kharkiv, in northeast Ukraine, authorities said the onslaught killed 5 people and injured 42 as the missiles damaged about 30 residential buildings. 1 death from a missile strike was also reported in Pavlograd, an eastern industrial city. Analysts say Russia stockpiled missiles at the end of last year to press a winter bombardment campaign. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will join forces at a rally in Virginia as they push for abortion rights. First Lady Jill Biden and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff will also be there today at what will be the first joint appearance by the 4 of them since the 2024 campaign began. It's a reflection of the importance that Democrats are placing on abortion as they face a likely rematch against Donald Trump, the former Republican president who helped pave the way for overturning Roe v. Wade by nominating 3 conservative justices to the U.S. Supreme Court. Donald Trump is aiming for a commanding victory in New Hampshire, securing a sweep of the first 2 Republican primary races and making a November rematch with President Joe Biden look likelier than ever. The biggest question is whether Trump's last major rival, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, will be able to eat into his margin or pull off an upset victory today. Haley has dedicated time and money to New Hampshire, hoping to appeal to its independent-minded electorate. Trump has concentrated on winning decisively enough to effectively end the competitive phase of the primary. Nikki Haley was the winner in one small New Hampshire town's first-in-the-nation presidential primary. Donna Warder filed this report.
Reporters from around the globe came to the tiny resort town of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, to cover the first 2024 presidential primary, and there were more reporters than voters. At 12 a.m. Tuesday, all 6 registered voters of Dixville Notch cast their ballots for Nikki Haley, giving her a clean sweep over former President Donald Trump and the other candidates. For the record, there are 4 registered Republicans in the town and 2 undeclared. Dixville Notch's first-in-the-nation voting dates back to 1960, with the results announced just a few minutes after midnight. I'm Donna Warder.
Meanwhile, as New Hampshire goes to the polls, new legislation aims to better protect election workers. Alex Gonzalez has more.
Democratic State Representative Ellen Reed says HB 1364 makes it illegal to post election workers' personal information online with the intent to threaten them.
We want them to know that we have their backs, that they feel safe and supported in those roles as they go about very important official duties.
A recent nationwide survey found an average of 1 or more local election officials have left office every day since 2020 due to harassment and threats. I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.